Today, as we turn to the railroading side of our channel, I'm going to take you back to a model railroad I built depicting the North Creek branch of the D&H Railroad, focusing on the 1930s. Unfortunately, this model no longer exists since my retirement and move out of the North Country of New York, but there are many photographs of the construction process, and I think you'll find them instructive. I'll include some history of the various towns and industries along the line as well. The D&H acquired the line from the original company, the Adirondack Company, which was founded in 1863. They acquired the line in 1889, and it had reached North Creek, but the terrain in the mountains kept them from gaining any further than that. The original purpose of the line was to extract timber, garnet from the mines at North Creek, iron ore, and during World War II, titanium was mined heavily out of there. Originally, iron ore was found up in Taos area, but it was so hard to get it out, and it wasn't very high quality. And the other purpose on the rail turned out to be taking these wealthy people up to the North Country to visit their rather large estates they had called great camps in the Adirondacks. Families like the Vanderbilts, the Rockefellers, the Posts, the Morgans, the Whitneys, a lot of these camps are still there, although not privately owned any longer. The Whitney estate just went up for sale. If you want it, $128 million. So the first step in starting a railroad project like this is to come up with some sort of track plan. And I have this is the first rough sketch I made of what I wanted to accomplish in the space that I had, depicting the Saratoga terminus and splitting off, going to Corinth and then to Warrensburg and finally to North Creek. Another consideration when doing your track planning is what radius curves you can have. And for the D&H, you have to look at what engines were used during that period. The two main workhorses for this North Creek extension were a 280 consolidation and the 460, known as 10-wheelers. So radius of 22 inches was about as small as I could get. A tight curve, an 18-inch curve radius would be a little tight for these engines to get around the corner. So as we start our look back, we're going to start at the Saratoga end of the line with its iconic railway station. This was the second station, the original one burned. And also another feature was the Saratoga Coal Company. But we'll start back at the beginning when we're just laying it out. So on an open grid, we just laid out some plywood, and on top of that plywood, we're going to put some 1-inch extruded insulation, which is really good stuff to use for a base. On the right, you see some track already laid. That will be behind a curtain or a screen as a hidden yard to hide trains as they pass through Saratoga headed for Montreal. They'll disappear, and then we can make them reappear at the other end as if coming up from New York. And then we lay out some track and switches to try and get a feel for where everything's going to position. And you can see in the far end we cut a hole for that would be the round table over there. Once we have that all laid out and be sure it's going to fit, we'll go back in and lay track a little more permanently. And here's a shot of the engine facility started. We've got the turntable cut in and just placed the roundhouse for fit at this point. can see the backdrop that we stuck in there to cover the yard behind there, and laid down some of the cork roadbed and the track, and we'll get more of that done before we start looking at scenery and whatnot. Here's a long view. We've made some progress as far as the track's pretty well laid and on the cork roadbed, and we've ballasted a lot of it. We've placed a lot of buildings on the surface, as well as putting a hardboard skirt along the front just for make it look nice. There's a lot of features on this we'll cover kind of one at a time here. Mostly the focus points I was looking for were the roundhouse, the train station, and the cement company at the other end. Here's a photo of the Saratoga train station in the 1930s. Can't really see it all. It extended quite a ways and had these very iconic clock towers. So in order to recreate that, I couldn't recreate the whole size of it. It was just way too big. And this station was the replacement 1900 of the old Victorian station that burned in, I think, either 99 or 1900. And this is what replaced it. So I did what they call kit bashing. I found a model of, I think it was supposed to be a church, but I got two of them, backed up end to end, and scratch built a center section to extend it out with another clock tower on that end. And it came out pretty well. This picture is not the best, but we'll get another look at it when we show some of the stuff as it's more completed. And to the right there, you can just see the office house of the coal company, and a few other buildings had been placed. But we'll move on to add more to it. And here's the coal company's silos with their coal, and this was all scratch built. The dumping shed there where the gondolas would come in and dump the coal, and it would get moved up into the silos to be distributed around town for heat and whatnot. And the decals were all done on computer and decal paper. This is just a little detail I threw together from an old caboose car that I had that wasn't really functional any longer. I painted it up, or basically put turpentine on it and made it look like it just had a fire, and just put it on the edge of the yard here for just to catch your eye, something to look at. And here's a shot of pretty well the area is done. Probably could add some more trees and whatnot, but it's pretty well set. Trains are running, and the branch line up to North Creek breaks off. That train in the foreground with the hoppers is on that track, headed up towards Corinth and Warrensburg and whatnot. So we'll move on to the next phase. I built this thing in 3 stages. The Saratoga stage is number 1. The second stage is going to be Corinth and Warrensburg.